Ever wish your brain came with like a user manual? Well, today we're kind of cracking one open. We're diving into the brilliant book A Mind for Numbers to uncover the surprisingly simple science behind how we actually learn, especially when the going gets tough.
You know that feeling, right? Where you're just staring at a problem and you're focusing with everything you've got. But the harder you concentrate, the more the answer just seems to vanish. It's like your brain just hits a total wall. Well, it turns out that just trying harder isn't always the best move. In fact, sometimes it's the very thing holding you back.
And that really brings us to the core idea here. This quote from Shirley Malcolm just nails it. Being good at something tough isn't about being born a genius. Nope. It's a skill you build. It's a process. It's all about learning how to learn.
So where do we even begin? We start with a pretty big revelation. Your brain isn't just a single engine. It actually has two completely different ways of operating. And understanding these two modes, well, that's the absolute first step to becoming a better learner.
So let's meet the two stars of the show, the focused mode and the diffuse mode. Focused mode is exactly what it sounds like. It's your intense, heads-down concentration. It's all about being rational and analytical. Then you've got the diffuse mode. That's your relaxed, big-picture thinking. It's when your mind wanders off and, makes these incredible new connections. They're total opposites, but here's the kicker. You absolutely need both of them.
Okay, let's really get into it. We're going to start with the mode we all know really, really well, maybe a little too well sometimes, and that is the focused mode.
The best way to think about the focus mode is like a super powerful flashlight. You switch it on, you point it at something, and that beam is tight, it's direct, it gets right to the point. This is what you're using when you're going step by step through a math problem or really trying to absorb a dense paragraph in a book.
And right here, this is where all that hard work is happening. That intense concentration, it's largely handled by your prefrontal cortex, which is that part of your brain sitting right behind your forehead. When you're in the zone, that area is just lit up and firing on all cylinders.
The book gives us this amazing way to visualize this, a pinball machine. So in focus mode, imagine the bumpers on the pinball table are all packed really close together. When you launch a thought, that's your pinball. It just zips around, bouncing along these really familiar, well-worn paths. And this is fantastic for problems you already know how to handle.
But what happens when those familiar paths just don't lead to an answer? Well, that's where your brain's other superpower comes in, the diffuse mode.
The diffuse mode is what kicks in when you just let go. You go for a walk, you take a shower, you listen to some music, you just relax your attention. And what this does is it allows all these different far-flung parts of your brain to start chatting with each other and making brand new connections. This is where those sudden, out-of-the-blue aha moments are born. And this image just illustrates the difference perfectly. Over on the right, you can see the pinball table in diffuse mode. Look at that, the bumpers are spread way, way apart, so your little thought pinball can travel all over the place, making these huge, surprising leaps and connecting ideas that seemed totally unrelated before. You lose the precision, yeah, but what you gain is a completely new perspective.
So this brings us right back to where we started. If focused thinking is so powerful, why on earth do we get so stuck? Why does pushing down harder and concentrating more just lead to frustration instead of a breakthrough?
Well, the answer actually has a name. The Einsteining effect. It's a German word, and it basically means getting stuck in a mental rut. What happens is, your focused mode grabs onto the first idea it sees, even if it's the wrong one, and it just won't let go. That pinball gets trapped bouncing between the same few bumpers, completely blocking you from seeing the much better solution that's just one creative leap away.
Here's a perfect visual for you. So if I ask you to make a square from these 4 triangles, your focused brain might immediately lock onto the first pattern it sees and make a rectangle. It actually takes a diffused leap, a step back, to see that you need to rearrange the pieces in a totally new way to get that second square. That's the Einsteining effect, right there in action.
So, the big question is, how do you break out of that trap? If one mode gets you stuck and the other one is too fuzzy to see the details, what's the answer?
The solution isn't about choosing a favorite mode, not at all. The real key to solving tough problems, to truly learning something new, is getting really good at switching between them. It's like a dance. You have to learn when to lead with focus and when to let the diffuse mode take over for a bit.
The best metaphor for this is a game of ping pong. Think about it. You can't win just by holding the ball on your paddle. That's not how it works. You win by volleying it back and forth across the net. So you start in the focused mode, working hard on the problem, but when you get stuck, you intentionally hit that ball over to your diffuse mode by taking a break.
Your brain keeps working on it in the background, and then, when it sends a new idea back, you switch back into focused mode to work out all the details.
Okay, enough talking. Let's actually put this to the test so you can feel the shift yourself. I've got a quick puzzle for you.
Take a look at this triangle. It's made of 10 coins. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make the triangle point down, but you can only move 3 coins. Go ahead and pause and give it a shot. And if you find yourself getting stuck, don't just stare at it harder. Remember what we've been talking about. Step away for a minute, let your mind wander, go diffuse, and then come back to it. You might be surprised when the answer just pops right into your head.
So, let's wrap this up. What are the big things to remember? First, your brain has 2 super important thinking modes, focused and diffuse. Second, that feeling of being stuck, the Einsteiner effect, that usually means you're just over-relying on your focused mode. And finally, the real secret sauce is learning how to volley, switching between that intense focus and a more relaxed, wandering mind.
Okay, so understanding these 2 modes is a massive first step. It's a total game changer. But it brings up a new question, doesn't it? Once you use this process to finally understand a new idea, how do you make it stick? How do you turn that little flash of insight into solid, lasting knowledge? Well, that is exactly what we're going to cover next time when we dive into the incredible power of chunking. See you then.